we have the 2024 Champions League finalists. Borussia Dortmund will play against Real Madrid. There were so many storylines swirling around. This isn't really the two that we thought it might be. Everyone's thinking it's going to be Real Madrid PSG, or it was going to be Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich. And one person who suffers in all of this, of course, is Harry Kane, who goes... it breaks my heart. But fortunately, still got one competition left, guys. The Euros is coming. So Harry, just take a breath. It's all going to be fine. But he hasn't got himself a trophy. A lot of nonsense about curses and things like this. Is he cursed, Nubaid? Should we just get that out of the way?
I mean...
Something's not right.
Leverkusen having this season, the year Harry Kane goes there, they're literally nicknamed the team that never win. And then you lose to Madrid because Joselu comes off the bench and scores no disrespect, Joselu. And Harry
the offside.
The
offside.
And then, the offside at the end that they don't even look at, which is outrageous. It looked onside, but even if it wasn't, you've got to look at that.
Yeah.
And then Harry getting subbed on the 85th minute. Thomas Tuchel, what are you doing, brother? So I do feel for him, but there has to come a point, whether you believe in curses or juju, whatever it is, there is something going on.
Yeah, I mean, you said he's just unlucky, innit? I think that's about right.
No, 100%. I feel like in sports, you get great players who are just a bit unlucky at times.
Yeah.
And it's not down to them because at the end of the day, most sports is a team game. So he's just unlucky. Like, you can't say anything about it.
Would you say he did his bit in these two legs? That's my question.
Was he provided any service whatsoever?
This brother wants to be the service and the goal scorer.
And the goal scorer, yeah.
Well, I mean, he assisted the goal.
Do we count those as assists?
Officially, it's an assist
Yeah,
because even though Alphonso Davies had that run and scored in his weaker foot, it's a Harry Kane assist. But a wise man once told me you create your own luck, right? And at what stage do we just have to look at Harry and be like, bro, what is this? Because we all expected him to go to Bayern Munich and be like, okay, finally, at least a Bundesliga. We were going to question that Bundesliga because I feel like that's their 10th or 11th in a row. But then Leverkusen go have an unbeaten season, and then they're out of the DFB Pokal, and now they're out in the Champions League. Like, at what stage do we look at Harry and be like, dude, is it you? Like, did you not get a birthday cake? Like,
you've got also the points that Bayer Leverkusen have got, or the points that Bayern Munich have got. They would be in the running to get more points than they've got last season, which got them the title. Look, it's a little bit of a low season for them, but the amount of points that Bayer Leverkusen have got this year as well has been astonishing. Like, that unbeaten run is outrageous. But I don't know how that gets brought back to the guy who scored 40-odd goals.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit unfair, doesn't it?
And I'm also not even... I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not on this theory that he's unlucky. But I do think, like, you speak about service in the game yesterday, in the games against Real Madrid, but I do also go, at some point, Harry has to decide, if you don't want to be the 9, like, if you don't want to box crash a 9 because deliveries are not coming in and you want to drop in and pick the ball up, then either your manager's got to go, if you're going to drop in, then Leroy, run beyond. Leroy Sané doesn't do that anymore. Alfonso, run beyond. He didn't do that anymore. So Harry, get in the box. Like, you got to pick your...
The one thing I would say with that... Watching the game yesterday, did a breakdown of it. What you could see a lot of the time, so at half-time, Pavlovic had 45 passes completed of his 45 passes. 100%. Not a single key pass, and played essentially one pass forward to Musiala, who is the biggest threat, right? And he's going to be the guy who's going to link the ball to Kane if Kane is to get on the ball and stay on the last man. But Musiala wasn't given the service either. So he had the ball 18 times, completed 18 of those passes. He didn't play a key pass either. So he needs a bit of help. And it goes back 2 layers for me, is that you've got to, if you've got players in and around the sort of half spaces, then Kane can stay a little bit higher up if you are hurting them. I thought it was, especially in the first half, I thought it lacked a little bit of bravery, that Bayern Munich performance. And in the second half, they were able to kind of do that bit of a counter-attack. And if you think about the goal, obviously, Alonso does a lot, but Musiala gets the ball. A lot of players, 4 players that kind of come to him. He gets the ball to Kane, and it's the first time they've kind of had that conversation. And then he plays the ball into Alonso, and they're on their way. It's very Spurs-like. But yeah, I think
the thing is, I did look at the average positions because I was also of the same opinion that they need to get the ball to him, and I do agree to some extent. But then in the average positions, him and Musiala are like next to each other constantly. Sane's miles ahead, and I do think Gnabry coming off was a problem because Alphonso Davies comes on and you don't have someone who wants to run beyond. But I do think if in this situation you're going to trust Musiala and go, you'll be the guy that unlocks your position, then you've got to get them 2 away from each other.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Vinicius, but that kind of happened when Vinny was getting Kimmich 1v1, Rodrigo and Jude were going, I want a piece of this as well. I was like, no, let him do his thing, because he's like running him into the ground. Kane and Musiala was doing that at the same time as well. I was going, one of you needs to go, one of you needs to stick.
Yeah. The final thing I think Gnabry going off. I know Alphonso Davies scored the goal, but he isn't that out and out instinctive wide forward. I think that was probably hurt them a little bit as well. But yeah, so Brian's first trophyless season since 2011-12, which is wild. On the other side of it, Vinicius Junior, potentially the best player in the world right now. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't say so, only because I feel like Vinicius Junior, I think he's a great player. I think he's really good. I think he's one of Real Madrid's key players, and I think
is he Real Madrid's best player?
No.
Do you not agree with that either?
No, I don't think so. I feel like Bellingham's had a better season than Vinicius Junior. I think Vinicius Junior is good, but I just don't think he's that guy at the moment. Vinicius Junior, we haven't been talking about him all season. Fair enough, we probably don't watch La Liga week in, week out. And I do like Vinicius Junior, and he's being better. Like he has won the Champions League. He's having a better season than he was last season. But I just still don't think he is Real Madrid's guy. If you look at Real Madrid's poster boy, you can really see it's Bellingham right
so I think being Real Madrid's guy and being their best player is two separate things. So I think Jude Bellingham is the guy, like the poster boy, and his PR is outstanding, and he has had a very good season. But every time I watch Jude Bellingham play, I keep going, he's like, he'll give me 15 moments in a game, and then have two world-class moments. I go, wow. When I watched Vinicius against Kimmich, I was like, you had like 10 world-class moments, like back to back to back. So I think he's the best player.
The only thing I will say is that, one, with Bellingham's PR, I get it, he has crazy PR, but you don't get that without performing. And two, against Kimmich, even though Kimmich has played right back for a lot of his career, he's not a natural right back. So I do expect Vinicius to cook Kimmich in that position more time often than not. I think Vinicius is a great player. I just don't think he's Real Madrid's best player, and especially with hope maybe Mbappe coming in next season, Endrick coming in next season, is he going to be that guy? He's not even the guy for Brazil at the moment. I think, and this is no disrespect to Vinny Jr.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not a crucial player, but I just don't think he's that guy.
I think if you said to me you can only play Bellingham or Vinicius Junior in final, I pick Vinicius Junior every time. And I love Bellingham. I love Bellingham.
But this is Bellingham that has both winners in the El Clasico. With both Bellingham, like he's putting up those moments. I think Bellingham's got more league goals than Vinicius at the moment as well.
The thing is, I don't think you can play the way Madrid want to play without Vinicius. The reason you have the constant outball is because he is the outball. Yes. You can't have Jude on his own up there without Vinicius running on. You can't give the ball to Cruz without Vinicius running on. It all happens because of his intelligence off the ball. I do hear it. Bellingham's still unbelievable. They're both.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, in the Champions League final. The way I always put it is, I think he's the most dangerous player in the world. I think it's like he scare the beep out of me. Like Kimmich, he would have gone, oh wow. Like the feet. I think the mindset of him as well is really, really impressive. Like truly affecting the game when he gets to the ball 1-on-1. Horrible player to play against. Toni Kroos. Wow, he came off after 60 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And he'd had 103 passes. That's mad.
For context, Rodri completes like 112 in 90 minutes.
Yeah. So he is so integral to that team. And a great example of the legs aren't totally there, but even out of possession, I think that's why Bellingham kind of tucked in a little bit, and you've got Valverde, who's an absolute beast getting up and down, and Tchouaméni, who looks like might miss the final, is going to be out for a few weeks, but I actually quite like Camavinga anyway. But Toni Kroos, in terms of being the metronome of that team and allowing the free-flowing nature of them with the ball, he's absolutely integral in terms of allowing us to enjoy the way Real Madrid play, right?
Well, I think he's the player in their team that controls the tempo of the game. Often when they get the ball into him, he decides if they're going to go long and diagonal, if they're going to play short and intricate. One of the most beautiful things about his game is, often if he gets pressed, he doesn't do the thing that typically maybe like a Jorginho might do, where he just has the ball pinched off him and he's like, he'll just poke it around the corner to someone else. The little intricate passes are the ones that impress me the most, because he's got such good spatial awareness. And then occasionally, I think in the first leg when he set up Vinicius, where James Allcott actually broke that goal down brilliantly, that is the man that sat across me, he received, they sort of, I think you were saying too many pushed on, and his ability to just wait. Like sometimes when he gets the ball and waits, it's like everyone else waits.
Yeah.
Even if the other team's running around, and then he knows when to go. So he is like absolute.
So much fun. I love these players when they get into their sort of like mid-30s and just run it. He's just a bit too smart. He actually took someone out of the game. He might have been Lamer. The ball came to him and he did this little chop with one touch, and this guy went for a cup of tea. It was amazing. They, of course, play another team in the final. There's another team in this. Dortmund, who I think this is going to be a tough game, a good game, interesting one. Because Dortmund have got some elements that, if you think of how Bayern Munich hurt Real Madrid in the second leg, Dortmund can play on the counter-attack. They can also sit in quite well. And it was a winner's performance, I thought, that the one against PSG. I thought they really sort of dug in there. Good cup performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like Dortmund, this final just screams FIFA 14, doesn't it? Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund. But I feel like Dortmund, no one expected them to be in this final. I feel like Edin Terzic has done a really good job with Dortmund. And with Hummels at the back with his experience, Adeyemi on the wings, who I think is probably the fastest player in the world right now.
He's fast playing in the Champions League, that's right.
He's absolutely rapid. And Sancho having this rejuvenated life put back into him with Emre Can and Sabitzer. I look like that's a team that can do a role and know what they're doing. And especially with Real Madrid are going to be out there to try and impose themselves on the game. And
They'll be huge favourites, Real Madrid, won't they?
Exactly. And I think that kind of plays into Dortmund's hands in a sense that you've got these two fast players on the wing. You can sit back and counter them. And I think Adeyemi versus Carvajal, that will be massive because Carvajal likes to bomb forward as well. And at the same time, that's a lot of space. Adeyemi must be thinking, oh, that's a lot of space that I can exploit. So if Dortmund take their chances, they could do something in this game. But I have to give credit to them because even though they're fifth in the Bundesliga, they haven't really had the greatest Bundesliga season. To go over PSG, where everyone I thought PSG would go on to the Champions League final, I really have to respect Dortmund for the way they're playing and the way they've set up, especially those two legs, because as you said, I think in Paris that was a winner's performance.
Yeah, and I guess final one on Dortmund, they will be able to put a plan in place, I believe, with this team that could really hurt Real Madrid, because I think, again, I think defensively you've got some great individuals with Real Madrid. But I think you can play through them if you're clever enough. And coming back to that point, I think Fulkrug could have a really, really big say in this. And that left-hand side in particular, you've got Maatsen, Adeyemi, as you say. Carvajal always wants to bomb on. Valverde can get up and down, but in transition they can definitely do something. And on that right-hand side, it would be Rudiger that would have to go across. I think he'll be dealing with Fulkrug, who has been very clever as well. And if you think of the first goal against PSG in the first leg, that Schlotterbeck, who's the final person we've got to talk about, I really, really like him as a player. And the pass that he plays to Fulkrug, it's all very, very clever. There's a lot of clever footballers there and a bit of pace there. They could definitely have a big say in this, couldn't they?
Schlotterbeck reminds me of, do you remember when Luke Shaw played as a left-sided centre-back for a little period? Someone who's so good in possession, but he's an athlete. I think that's the other side that maybe Shaw lacked, that centre-back.
Bigger too, right?
Yeah, he's aggressive, he's front-footed. He had a moment where I think Mbappe charged through and I thought, this is a guaranteed goal, because I thought it was Hummels, and he just put his shoulder across and beat him in a foot race as well, and he just secured it back to the keeper. So I do think he's crucial. And also, Madrid don't really press, and he's a centre-back that, if the ball's with him, he'll carry it 20 yards and play pass through the line. So I do think this is a very good matchup. I think if Dortmund played Bayern would win, because Dortmund just never beat Bayern. I think in terms of a matchup, Dortmund will sit in, almost get rid of the principles that they used to have under Klopp and previous managers and go try and break us down. And we've got Adeyemi, we've got Sancho, who I actually think could be massive in this game, by the way. I still obviously he's playing well and there's a load of hype. I still think there's so many moments and things lacking in his game, but the balance of having Adeyemi who wants to run beyond and having Sancho who wants to receive the ball and retain, it's a really good balance to have when you play against Madrid.
So we're a few weeks away, but if you had to make a prediction, will it be number 15, is it?
15.
Yeah, will it be number 15 for Real Madrid?
Yeah, I think so, number 15 for Real Madrid. I feel like Dortmund, I've seen better Dortmund teams get into a Champions League final back in 2013 in Wembley. And I feel like they will give it a good go, but at the end of the day, Carlo Ancelotti is going to lift up that eyebrow and something's going to happen Real Madrid-wise, because it just always happens in Europe, doesn't it? So I'm going for a 2-1 Real Madrid.
Okay.
They're the only team in the world that are absolutely inevitable. So I'll go Madrid to win it. I think it'll go to extra time. I think Dortmund will drag it there. And then Madrid will end up winning 4-1 in ET, because that's what they do.
Yeah, it feels a bit like you could swap the name Dortmund with Atletico Madrid. And it could go to extra time, but I imagine Dortmund will get their hearts broken because Real Madrid do what Real Madrid do, which is win numerous Champions Leagues.